Hollywood tried to hide this, but the truth is out. Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas weren't just another celebrity couple. Their breakup exposed secrets that could shake the industry. Hidden control, forbidden beliefs, and a love story that turned into a silent war. This is the real reason behind their shocking split, and it's darker than anyone imagined. Imagine two of Hollywood's most stunning stars, both powerful, both mysterious, falling in love under the blinding lights of fame. It sounds like a fairy tale written for the silver screen, doesn't it? Tom Cruise, the legendary action hero, a man who defies gravity with his stunts and never seems to age, and Ana de Armas, the graceful, magnetic actress who stole hearts across the world with her charm, beauty, and raw talent. When news broke that these two might be together, the internet exploded. Fans couldn't believe it. Memes, headlines, fan edits, everyone was obsessed. It felt like Hollywood's golden era was back. Two stars from different worlds, finding each other in a whirlwind of fame, glamour, and attraction. But here's the twist. What looked like a perfect love story on the outside was quietly cracking on the inside. Because behind those dazzling smiles and luxurious red carpet appearances was a story no one saw coming. A story full of tension, control, and heartbreak. Yes, you heard that right. This wasn't just another celebrity romance. It was a collision between two worlds, two personalities, and two completely different ideas of love and life. Tom Cruise, a man defined by discipline, secrecy, and precision, every move calculated, every appearance planned. Ana de Armas, on the other hand, spontaneous, emotional, and free-spirited, a woman who lives through feeling, not formula. And when those two forces came together, sparks didn't just fly, they collided. At first, everything seemed magical. They shared private dinners, laughter on set, and secret getaways that tabloids tried but failed to uncover. Their chemistry was undeniable, and Hollywood insiders whispered that maybe, just maybe, Tom Cruise had finally found the one person who could see beyond the fame. But what the world didn't know was that behind the scenes, cracks were already forming. Tom's life, as many close to him describe, runs like a mission plan. No surprise there. He's been one of the most successful stars in Hollywood history, but that success comes with a cost: control. Every aspect of his world is carefully managed: who he meets, where he goes, and even who he dates. Ana, meanwhile, was stepping into global fame on her own terms. She wasn't used to living by anyone else's rules. She valued her independence, her space, and her right to live authentically, not behind walls of secrecy. Those differences might sound small, but in a high-pressure relationship under constant media scrutiny, they became massive. Sources later revealed that Ana started feeling suffocated by the endless security, the boundaries, and the public image management that came with being connected to one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. While Tom admired Ana's authenticity, he also struggled to fit her free energy into his highly structured lifestyle, and then the tension began to grow. Little disagreements about privacy, lifestyle, and even faith slowly turned into emotional distance. Hollywood tabloids kept reporting, everything's perfect, but those who really knew them said otherwise. So, what went wrong? Why did this dream couple, admired by millions, fall apart so suddenly? Well, the truth is far deeper, and darker than anyone could imagine. Because this wasn't just about two people falling out of love. It was about two worlds colliding. Tom Cruise, a man whose life revolves around control, fame, and belief, and Ana de Armas, a woman who believes in freedom, simplicity, and emotional truth. When you put two such powerful energies together, something magical happens at first, but eventually, one of them has to give up a piece of themselves. And when neither was willing to lose who they truly were, the relationship couldn't survive. So yes, on the outside, it looked like another Hollywood love story gone wrong. But behind the cameras, this breakup carried lessons about fame, power, and the price of being authentic in an industry that demands perfection. Stay with us, because in this video, we're going beyond the headlines and the rumors. We're diving deep into the real reason Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas broke up. The truth Hollywood doesn't want you to know. It all began in 2020, a year when the world was falling silent. But Hollywood's biggest stars were still chasing stories that would light up the screen. Tom Cruise, The unstoppable force of action cinema. The man who runs faster than time itself, performs his own death-defying stunts, and keeps the mystery of his personal life locked behind golden gates. And then there was Ana de Armas, the breathtaking Cuban-Spanish actress who had just taken Hollywood by storm with her breakout role in Knives Out. She was fresh, fearless, and full of life, a rising star with an authenticity that made her impossible to ignore. Fate brought them together through mutual Hollywood friends. A quiet dinner party, a few laughs, and conversations that stretched late into the night. There was no script, no director, no cameras rolling, just two people connecting on a level neither expected. And just like that, sparks began to fly. Tom was instantly captivated by Ana. She wasn't like anyone he had met before. She didn't chase fame. Fame followed her. She spoke her mind, smiled with purpose, and carried a natural warmth that broke through the walls even the most guarded souls build. For Tom, who had spent decades surrounded by people who saw him as Tom Cruise the superstar, Ana saw something different. Tom Cruise the person, Ana, in return was fascinated by Tom's focus. His energy, his commitment, his drive to push beyond limits. It was inspiring. He wasn't just an actor. He was a force of nature. But beneath all that intensity, she sensed a loneliness, a man searching for something real in a world full of illusions. Soon, the two began spending more and more time together. Private dinners hidden from paparazzi. Secret weekend getaways far from Los Angeles. Those close to them said they talked about everything. Childhood memories, fame, fear, and what it really means to love in an industry built on appearances. Ana brought laughter into Tom's world, something rare for him. And Tom made Ana feel protected, valued, and admired. Together, they found a rhythm that was both exciting and comforting. By mid-2020, whispers started spreading across Hollywood. Rumors said that Tom Cruise had finally found someone who truly understood him. Someone who could handle both his fame and his fire, and people believed it. Because when Tom and Ana appeared together, there was an energy, something magnetic, something real. Tom reportedly introduced her to a few close friends, and insiders claimed he even began talking about slowing down his career for the first time in years. Ana, meanwhile, seemed to glow with confidence and happiness. For a brief moment, it looked like the perfect Hollywood romance, the kind of story fans love to believe in. Two stars from different generations, brought together not by fame but by fate. But as every Hollywood story goes, the spotlight can be both a blessing and a curse. Behind the glamour, their worlds were fundamentally different. Tom's life ran on strict schedules, secrecy, and control, shaped by years of discipline and the powerful influence of his beliefs. Ana's world was spontaneous, artistic and emotionally open. She thrived on freedom, creativity, and genuine connection. And even though the attraction was strong, those differences began to surface quietly. But for now, in those first few months, the magic was real. The chemistry was undeniable. The media called them Hollywood's newest power couple. Fans started to dream that maybe, just maybe, this was Tom Cruise's chance at lasting happiness after years of solitude and rumors. But deep inside, both Tom and Ana were aware, fame comes with a price, and in their world, love burns bright. But rarely lasts forever, because in Hollywood, the brighter the spark, the faster it can burn out. On the surface, Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas looked like the perfect couple. Every photo, every red carpet moment, every whispered story painted the picture of two people completely in sync. Hollywood's golden pair. But behind those dazzling smiles and camera flashes, things were far more complicated. Because Tom Cruise isn't just a movie star, he's an empire. Every moment of his life, from what he eats to where he appears, is carefully planned. His name alone is a brand worth hundreds of millions. And with that level of fame comes control, secrecy, and expectation. Ana, however, was the complete opposite. She was free-spirited, deeply emotional, and loved to live in the moment. She believed in sharing real parts of herself with the world, not just the polished ones. That difference, though small at first, soon began to draw a line between them. At the beginning, Tom admired her openness, her laughter, her spontaneity. It was refreshing in a world that often felt robotic. But as time passed, that same energy started to make him uneasy. He lived by routine. She thrived on surprises. He guarded his privacy. She found beauty in vulnerability, and that's where the tension began. People close to the couple revealed that Tom's intense lifestyle and his spiritual beliefs played a major role. He's famously connected to Scientology, a belief system that has influenced many of his personal choices and relationships over the years. Ana, raised in Cuba in a humble Catholic family, was spiritual but not rigid. She valued simplicity, peace, and authenticity. The structured, high-control environment surrounding Tom was something she couldn't easily adapt to. For her, love meant openness. For him, it meant protection. Then came the pressure of publicity. Ana was entering the peak of her fame, appearing in films like No Time to Die and Deep Water. She wanted to celebrate her success, share her joy, and live her life proudly. Tom, however, had learned the hard way that publicity can destroy relationships. After past heartbreaks and media storms, he preferred to keep everything private, completely off the radar. And when one partner wants to live in the light while the other insists on staying in the shadows, the balance becomes impossible. According to insiders, Tom often tried to shield Ana from unwanted attention, but to her it felt like isolation. She didn't want to hide who she was or whom she loved. She wanted to breathe, to be free, to be seen. And Tom's world didn't allow that kind of freedom. There were reports of quiet disagreements about her social circle, about where she worked, about how much of their relationship should stay public. Nothing explosive, just small cracks that kept widening. And let's not forget, Tom's entire life revolves around precision and perfection. Every project, every appearance, every minute of his day is managed like a mission. Impossible operation. There's no room for chaos, no space for unpredictability. Ana, on the other hand, thrives on creativity, emotion, and impulse. She's an artist who loves to feel, to live unscripted. So, when a perfectionist meets a dreamer, their worlds may connect beautifully, but rarely align perfectly. Friends began noticing subtle changes. Ana, once full of sparkle and laughter, seemed quieter. Tom, though affectionate in public, appeared more withdrawn. The warmth that once drew them together was cooling under the weight of their differences. The truth is, love can't survive without balance. And between the pressure of fame, the expectations of image, and the deep differences in belief and lifestyle, that balance was slipping away. Slowly, the chemistry that once burned so brightly began to clash with the realities that tore them apart. Because in Hollywood, love doesn't just face normal problems, it faces the whole world watching. And for Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas, that pressure became too heavy to carry. By the end of 2021, whispers began to spread through Hollywood. Whispers that the golden couple, Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas, weren't doing as perfectly as they appeared. The smiles in public were still there, but the warmth behind them was fading. They were spotted less and less together. Their joint appearances stopped. Paparazzi, always sharp-eyed, began to notice the silence between them, a silence that spoke louder than any rumor. Soon, insiders began using those famous Hollywood words, irreconcilable differences. At first, no one wanted to believe it. How could a couple that seemed so connected, so balanced, suddenly fall apart? But as the truth began to unfold, it became clear. It wasn't one big fight, one explosive argument, or a scandal. It was something far more painful. The slow realization that love alone wasn't enough. According to those close to them, the final straw came when Ana began thinking about the future. A quieter, family-centered life. She wanted peace after years of working nonstop. She dreamed of a home, stability, maybe even children someday. Tom, however, was on a completely different path. For him, life was a constant mission, literally. His schedule revolved around filming, training, flying helicopters, performing life-threatening stunts, and perfecting every shot for the mission. Impossible franchise. It wasn't that he didn't care. Tom is known for being deeply passionate about the people he loves. But for him, his work is his life. He's a man driven by purpose, precision, and performance. And when you live like that, there's rarely room left for anything else. Their visions of the future simply didn't align. Ana wanted normalcy, something real. She wanted lazy Sunday mornings, walks in the park without security guards, dinners at small cafes where she could just be herself. She longed for connection that wasn't defined by red carpets, premieres, or cameras flashing in the dark. Tom's life, however, doesn't allow for normal. Every detail of his world is carefully designed, from who he meets to how he moves. His inner circle is small, his privacy tightly protected. Every friend, every moment, every interaction carries weight. And though that discipline made him one of the greatest movie stars of all time, it also created an invisible wall between him and the rest of the world. Anna, young, passionate, and full of light, felt that wall closing in. She didn't want to live behind gates and cameras forever. She wanted to breathe freely, to live without being managed. Friends later said that Anna started realizing she was losing pieces of herself, that she was slowly adapting to a life that didn't feel like her own. And that's when she made the hardest decision of all, to walk away. In the end, there was no shouting, no scandal, no betrayal, just two souls, once deeply connected, realizing they were walking two very different paths. They decided to part ways quietly, away from the cameras, away from the chaos of the tabloids. It wasn't about blame, it was about acceptance. Anna reportedly threw herself into her work, channeling her emotions into her performances. She began rediscovering who she was outside of fame, outside of being Tom Cruise's love interest. Her later roles, especially in Blonde, reflected that emotional rebirth, raw, real, and fearless. Tom, as always, turned to what he knew best, his work. He buried himself in the world of stunts, scripts, and cameras, continuing to push his limits in the Mission, Impossible, and Top Gun franchises. That's how he heals. Through focus, through action, through motion. Even after the breakup, sources said there was no bad blood, just quiet respect. Two people who once shared something rare, now choosing peace over pressure, and maybe that's what makes their story so human. Because sometimes love doesn't end with betrayal or drama. Sometimes it ends with two people realizing that no matter how strong the spark was, their destinies were written in different directions. So, what happened next? When the cameras stopped flashing, when the headlines faded, and when the world moved on, what became of Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas? For most Hollywood couples, the breakup is the end of the story. But for these two, it was just the beginning of something new, something deeply personal and powerful. Let's start with Ana de Armas. After walking away from the whirlwind that was her relationship with Tom, Ana took a step back and reconnected with herself. She poured her heart into her craft, not just acting for fame, but performing from a place of truth. In No Time to Die, she appeared alongside Daniel Craig, delivering a performance that fans still talk about. Bold, graceful, and full of confidence. Then came Blonde, the film that would redefine her career. Portraying Marilyn Monroe was no easy task. It was emotionally draining, demanding, and deeply personal. But Ana gave it everything. She transformed her pain, her heartbreak, and her growth into pure art, and the world noticed. Critics praised her vulnerability, calling it one of the most haunting performances of the decade. But beyond the awards and red carpets, there was something deeper. Ana had finally found her voice. No longer just the rising star, or Tom Cruise's former flame, she had become her own symbol of strength and self-worth. She began speaking openly about peace, balance, and the importance of staying true to yourself. Subtle, but powerful words that hinted at how much she had learned from the past. In one interview, she said, "I've realized I don't need perfection. I just want peace." A simple statement, but it said everything. It was her quiet way of saying that sometimes love isn't about fireworks or fairy tales. It's about finding someone who matches your rhythm, someone who makes life calm, not chaotic. Now let's talk about Tom Cruise. While Ana was rediscovering herself, Tom returned to what he knows best, the one thing that has never let him down, his work. 2022 became one of the biggest years of his entire career. His long-awaited sequel, Top Gun: Maverick, took the world by storm. It wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural moment. Fans across generations packed theaters cheering for the man who had defied both time and gravity. The film shattered box office records and reminded the world why Tom Cruise is, and always will be, the ultimate movie star. Even his critics had to admit, There's no one else like him. But beneath all the applause, all the success and all the smiles, those who know Tom personally say something quietly different. Despite his fame, despite his achievements, there's still a certain loneliness that follows him, the cost of living life at full throttle. When your life is built on constant motion, there's rarely time to stop and feel. Friends describe Tom as dedicated, passionate, but distant, always moving, always chasing the next big thing. It's almost as if his love for adventure became his only companion, and maybe that's the bittersweet truth about him. A man who gives everything to the world through his films, but keeps very little for himself. For Anna, her journey moved toward peace and purpose. For Tom, it continued toward passion and perfection. Two people, two destinies, both successful, both admired, but walking on very different paths. Their story wasn't about drama or betrayal. It was about growth. It was about learning what truly matters when the cameras stop rolling. Because in the end, fame fades. But peace, that's what stays. And maybe that's the real lesson in their story. Even the brightest stars in Hollywood are still searching for something we all want. Not glamour, not perfection, but a little bit of peace.